Before we get absolutely mortal, I'd like to remind everyone that this podcast contains two pissed up gays with their opinions, rants and raves in life, and overall explicit content which we know you will love. Everyone and anyone is welcome to this podcast, so strap yourself in, pour yourself a large one, down it and pour it another, and let's get this going. Let's read between the lines. Well, that was better, because last night that I tried to do that, obviously it was a bit of a disaster.
Exactly.
I don't even want to... Well, we can't listen it back now because I deleted it.
What happened last night, Ronnie? Shall we tell?
Well, let's not get into that. And we've had a few vodkas, which is naturally right, I suppose. But yeah, this is take two. Take two of the podcast. I'm going to edit all this out anyway. But... obviously, we were toying and tossing and turning with what to talk about, and I think dating's a good one to start with, especially as a gay.
Especially as a gay.
Because it's different. I think it's different, but I don't know.
I think there is different... There's different things to consider in gay dating than there is to normal heterosexual dating. Like, I don't think people go through the same traumas that we do as gays, do we?
I mean, in my experience as a closeted gay back in the day, dating women and men, I think is very different. The scene's very different. But anyway, can you find love on a dating app in the gay world? Is the question that I want to ask.
Simple answer. Yes.
I mean, it doesn't... To be honest, though, that the app that we met on wasn't a gay app.
No,
right?
It was not.
It was just... It's a normal app,
yeah.
which straight people and gay people can...
Yeah, absolutely. But we've all been disillusioned in dating. We've all been on horrible dates. We've all had really bad experiences. We've been ghosted. We've been through them all.
I suppose it depends on your intention, though, when you join an app like that. Like... Some people join these apps just because they want to hook up with someone. Some people join the apps because they're actually looking for love. I suppose, in my opinion, it is possible to find love on a dating app. Obviously, I'm living proof of that. But I think that it depends on your intention and what you're looking for. I've certainly met people on apps in the past, on dating apps, which are only looking to sleep around and hook up, which I don't think... Well, again, it depends on the app, but I think there's specific apps for that. But if you're looking for love, there's no reason why, in my opinion, you can't find love on an app. Why do you think there is a stigma around dating apps in general, though? Why do you think people are put off by it, in your opinion?
That's a hard one, isn't it? I think it's a new method, and like we're probably of a generation that grew up with phones, so it feels a bit more natural. But then you just think back to your parents, your grandparents' generations, where like dating things were not a thing. Fine, you might have had the find love in the newspaper items, like looking for love. Is that the olden days
equivalent? Like the Lonely Hearts column. Is that what it was called?
Yeah,
I mean, that was
exactly.
A bit before my time. I mean, you must have been committed to fucking writing to that, like. At Lonely Hearts.
Oh, can you imagine the disappointment on that?
Mr. Lover Guy 69 or whatever you used to call yourself. Now you just swipe left or swipe right.
Didn't even have a picture. God. Just a couple. Can they spell the word you and you are?
Was it Lonely Hearts column?
Yeah, Lonely Hearts column. That's what it was called.
Hell.
Yeah, but that must have been even more full of disappointments, because surely like you turn up and it's like, oh.
But also, who has that much time to obviously write in? It gets edited by an editor, gets printed in the newspaper. Well, I mean, I don't really know the ins and outs of it, but how do people reply? Do they write back? I mean, I don't know. I've never.
I think they used to. I think they used to have like little a voicemail box. They had like an answer phone.
How times have changed. Now it's as simple as tapping someone and giving your location.
Sending a dick pic.
Sending a fucking dick pic. But then again, that in itself, if you're doing that sort of thing from the get-go, you're probably not looking for love, right?
But that's it. That comes back to the intention of why you're on the app.
I mean, in my personal experience, if you start something on that vibe, it's not going to work. I just don't understand though why someone would join a dating app to just look for sex when there are apps which is for that. Which I suppose you're right. Actually, this is probably a good time to talk about that. Let's talk Grindr.
Good old Grindr.
The elephant in the room. The elephant in the room. Can you find love with a Grindr hookup? If you're meeting someone just for that, is there any way that you can move past that and find love with that person?
I'm not going to say that never happens, because I'm sure it has happened for people, but with the intention of looking for love, my first thought would not be, oh, I don't know, let me go on Grindr to see who's nearby, who I can get married and have children with.
In my personal experience, I met my ex on Grindr in a threesome, which was fine. I mean, that was what it was, and then it obviously developed into a relationship, but it reared its ugly head a little while later. A year or so had passed, and all I could think about was, ugh, I met you with someone else. I met you in the company of someone else in a sexual, and I almost felt repulsed by it. So in my opinion, I don't think you can find love with a hookup. Or maybe that's just my narcissistic personality trait. It would eat away at me.
Yeah.
Like, it would definitely eat away at me. Like, I don't know if it was not a threesome or not a vibe where there's more than one of you, but if it was two of you, then maybe you could. But I don't know. I don't think I can't see a long-lasting relationship coming from a Grindr hookup.
I don't think either. That's not an app to find love. Like, I know that sounds really cheesy and corny, like, but I don't think Grindr's not the place you think about when it comes to romance. Let's be honest.
Absolute filth.
Oh yeah, it's a hornbag's paradise.
But I don't understand why anyone would like. Well, I've got gay friends that have got partners that they've met on Grindr, and if that works for you, hun, then you do you. But there is no fucking way I could ever be with someone that I met on Grindr.
No.
Because I suppose, again, this is maybe just me, but the overthinker that I am sometimes is like, oh God, I met you on Grindr. What were you looking for that day when you messaged me? Who else were you talking to?
Exactly.
You were looking to shag someone, weren't you? And we got talking, and it's kind of gone a bit beyond that. But who were you talking to? And that's not a way to look at it. That's not a way to look at it.
I think it is in some ways, because you think of, like, at least with like the other dating apps, you have to arrange dates to actually meet someone, and that's normally a bit more drinks or dinner or whatever you go to do, and that's arranged. Whereas a Grindr hookup is like, I'll be there in a minute.
But do you think that you could go on a date with someone on Grindr? I suppose yes, it is renowned for being a hookup app, but I suppose you can meet people. Just for me, it's not for me.
Yeah.
But hey, I don't know whether...
I can imagine that there are people, and like you said, you know people who've met people on Grindr and are together, and hey, good luck to them. Absolutely. Like, no judgment here. But I just think it's not the destination for love.
Do you know what? I hated, like, whenever me and my ex, because I was with my ex for a couple of years, and it was from Grindr, I hated the question, how did you meet?
Right.
You can't tell someone that you met someone. I'm not gonna say to people I met my partner in a threesome. So what do you say? And it was always oh, we met online. It's lovely. Like, we met online. Dare I say that I didn't know who this fucking person was. I was just a young, horny, closeted gay, and I wasn't out at that point. But I was obviously living some kind of fantasy, or not fantasy really, because I wanted to do it, but I was doing it in the background behind closed doors. Like, I used to hate the question, and we'd always look at each other like, okay, what lie are we going to tell people now? Because we can't say that you met like that. Like,
I mean, it could be worse. You could say that you met them at the local cruising spot or a local glory hole.
I mean, in the gay world, that would be fine. I mean, people wouldn't batter an eyelid in the gay world, but in the straight world, when you're sitting there with your school friends or your uni friends or friends from work, and they ask how you met, I don't think a glory hole is the right thing to say. But, I mean, some of my straight friends probably won't even know what that is. I'll take you there sometime. Check it out, it's quite nice.
Well, I guess that's a good time to talk about first dates then.
Well, alright, fine. A glory hole, in my opinion, isn't first date appropriate, but what is first date appropriate?
Right. Rule number 1. don't go for a sit-down meal.
Oh, no.
Because, and I'm talking from experience, I've done that, and it was a fucking disaster.
Well, as someone with an eating disorder, I would not want to go for a fucking meal anyway. But also, people are ugly eaters.
Yeah.
People make noises. People like snort when they eat. Like people like are loud. For me, eating is the most unattractive thing in the world.
Yeah.
Probably because of my relationship with food. However, on a first date, I don't want to see someone slurping a soup.
No.
I don't want to see someone like inhaling a spaghetti bolognese or carbonara, whatever it is. Like
pasta sauce all over
food is not the one. And also another thing I don't think it's a great date is a cinema. I don't think a cinema is a great date. That's something. So let's get to know each other. Let's go sit in fucking silence for 2 hours and watch a film.
Yeah.
Like, it's nice, but it's not first date appropriate in my eyes.
Also, I think the very mild OCDness of myself would be like, I don't want this person's hand in my popcorn. I don't know if they watch them. Disgusting.
I mean, let's bring it back to gay world. I mean, that's the least of our worries. That's the least of our worries. If you thought a fucking dick was in your mouth before you come and met me, do you know what I mean?
But first dates, I think the best one will always be a drink. But then also,
unless you're an alcoholic,
or you don't drink,
recovering alcoholic,
you know, is then I don't know. I've never personally done it, but a coffee date.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
That's a bit boring, isn't it?
Do you know what? If I was ever taken for a coffee date, I would bin that fucking person off because that is fucking boring in my eyes. Like, take me for a cocktail, take me for a glass of champagne. Do not take me for a coffee. Yeah. Like, I'll have that in the morning, after the night before. Well, maybe that's not first date appropriate, but coffee dates for me is for friends. Coffee dates are for, I don't know, not a first date in my opinion. Like, if someone takes me for a coffee, I probably don't want to know you because I want alcohol.
Right, so we've all got first date stories. Shall we share some first date stories?
How long have you got?
Why is it you always? I mean, in the sense of in the vein of trying to share some positivity. Our first date was lovely.
It was lovely. I don't drink rosé though, and I don't know why we came to the rosé that night because I don't drink rosé. Like I actually can't stand rosé wine, but. I mean, it was nice. It was nice.
That's the only bad thing about that first date. We both drank a drink we didn't drink before.
I think a drink is a good first date unless you don't drink. If you don't drink, then we're probably not going to vibe. If you're not willing to get steaming drunk, fucking mortal on our first date, I probably don't want to know.
But what do people who don't drink do? Like, that must make... I mean, dating's hard enough. But what do you do if you don't drink?
You've got to have one hell of a personality to go on a first date and be sober because what the fuck are you going to talk about?
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to talk about?
Absolutely.
I just couldn't.
No chance.
I went on holiday with someone. Like, this isn't a date story, but I went on holiday with someone. I think I've told you this before that I'd only known him 3 weeks. We were at drama school together, and on the aeroplane, bearing in mind it was a complimentary bar on the aeroplane, he ordered a fucking green tea, and I said, "Oh, I'm having a glass of wine." It was 2 p.m, which is late in my opinion. I mean, it's what now? Like, we started drinking at 12 today. And he was like, "I'm not really a drinker." And I was like, "I've just booked 10 days on holiday with you and you're not a fucking drinker. Like, what? That's just not okay for me." And in the dating world, I think it would be the same. It works for some people. Great. It doesn't work for me.
Yeah, I agree. I do.
I love alcohol. But what if... Alright, fine. So that's quite a good point to bring up in terms of vibes and stuff. So if you don't drink or whatever, what do you do when the vibe's not right on a date then? Because I've been on fucking some horrendous dates where... Actually, one of the worst dates I ever went on, there was a power cut in the restaurant and we just sat there in silence waiting for the power to come back on, the lights to come back on. And we literally just sat there not talking in silence, and it was one of the worst dates I've ever been on. What do you do in that situation?
I had not a similar situation. So it was a first date experience.
Was it with a female?
It was.
Oh my god! No wonder it was so bad.
This is probably what put me off women for the rest of my life. In fact, it was probably the last date I had with a girl. I mean, we're talking years and years and years ago, but again, I made the awful mistake of going for dinner, which was a mistake. I know that now. I will never do that again. I don't think at that time, I didn't have great confidence in myself, probably because I was closeted, but I always thought to myself, I'm quite funny. I make people laugh. I make people feel at ease. I'm good to talk to people, and I can do that. This bitch, honestly, I've seen planks of wood with more life in them. She didn't give anything away. She didn't say it really. She answered questions really like short and abruptly. And in the end, I just thought, God, you know what? I just need this bitch to crack a smile. So I tried to tell a one-liner. And it was quite. It wasn't rude. There was no body parts involved.
I'm literally dreading what you're about to say. Like,
but it was just a harmless joke, and I'm not going to show the joke now. But it went down like a lead balloon because I then had to explain the joke, every part of which she understood, and yet the bitch still didn't crack a smile.
I mean, me now as a person, I would love to say that I would literally just say, fuck off, I'm not feeling this, I'm going. But I don't know if I would though, because like, again, this is another horrendous date. This was just before we met actually. I went to Portsmouth.
Portsmouth.
To see a guy, it was just the worst weekend. Like, we went to Brighton, it was lovely. That was nice. I met 2 lovely women I still talk to now. But like on the Sunday, like, we went for dinner again. Dinner's a bad day. We just sat in silence, and he was really off with me. And I was like, I've come from London for this. Like, I don't need this shit in my life. Like, I'm not this guy. Like, and I remember getting on the train and I texted and I was like, I didn't really appreciate you. Like, you just pretty much ignoring me. And it was fine. We both come to the agreement that we weren't right for each other, which was fucking godsend. But I kick myself that I didn't say something, and I should have just said, maybe because I wasn't in London and I thought I have to get home. Yeah. The fucking train got what word I'm looking for?
Delayed.
Not delayed, cancelled. The train got fucking cancelled, and I had to get out Basingstoke.
Oh, the teenage pregnancy capital of the UK.
I mean, I don't know where the fuck it is, but that's where I had to get out. Whole weekend was a complete fucking disaster.
Let's hope Portsmouth boy grew a bit of a personality in the meantime.
I mean, I think he's got a boyfriend now, but he's probably gonna listen to this. I'm gonna plug this on social media. He still follows me. He's about to unfollow me now. You know who you fucking are. You was an absolute arsehole that weekend. And I am bloody glad that that didn't happen. Do you know what? I just had a massive fear that we've been recording this and it wasn't recorded. I literally just flicked the switch thinking, oh my god, imagine. But I don't know, if the vibe's off, would it be a polite thing to say on that day, or would it be better to go home and then text the person like a coward?
I think at the end of a date, you should set your intentions. I would prefer it. I would do it face to face, and I'd rather say to the person, "Listen, like, you're lovely, but I don't think we're really I don't think we're really."
but you say that now. That's like in a situation.
Oh,
would you actually say that?
Probably not.
I mean, anyone does.
I think that then leads to the reason people ghost, right? That idea of ghosting or being ghosted. I just think that is rude.
I don't know, I think, I agree to an extent. I think ghosting is just pointless.
Yeah.
Like, especially in the gay world, because y'all fucking know each other, do you know what I mean? Like, you're bound to bump into each other at one point. What's the point on ghosting? Just say, like, I think, me personally, I would probably finish the date and then message that person and say, do you know what, I think this isn't for me.
See you at Mighty Hoopla 2023.
Well, that will be it. It's exactly that. It'll be that, or it'll be Rupert Street in Soho. We know now. It rears its ugly head. Rupert Street in Soho. Again, he's probably going to listen to this as well. But you're going to bump into each other again. I just think it's just really fucking awkward. And in the gay world, like, it's like Lego. Everyone's connected somehow. Yeah. Like, that's another thing I hate about the gay world as well, in terms of dating. The amount of dates that I've been on where I've slept with my date's friend, or I've slept with my date's brother, or his dad, or anyone like, maybe not dad.
That's a twice.
Maybe a couple of times as the mood takes me. But, well, all at once. I mean, that's even better. No, that's not better.
Stick around for the threesome chat.
That's how I roll. But everyone knows each other and everyone's connected somehow. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if... I think because we come from backgrounds where we had heterosexual relationships, I think it's a bit different. And I kind of respect that because I like... And I always say I preferred... I love being with men, but I actually prefer dating women.
Okay.
I think it's better. I think it's less complicated. I think that there's no drama. This is all just from personal experience. This isn't actually real life because dating men is wonderful. But all of my drama has been from fucking men and not women. Not fucking men, like...
Well, that in a
first date appropriate. But I always found it easier to date a woman than a man. Like, I think because probably I probably relate more to women than I do to men. I'm not really a manly man.
Well, likewise, yeah.
So I probably found that easier. Obviously, it didn't work out. But I do think dating, in my experience, a woman was easier than a man. And again, it's bringing me back to that point that in the gay world, everyone fucking knows each other. Everyone's slept with each other. Everyone, like... I absolutely despise it. Like, I fucking despise dating in the gay world. It is what it is, but I don't like that. And another thing, it's like, again, this is my brain and this is how it works. It's like, I go on a date with someone and then we follow each other on Instagram and we've got mutual followers. I'm like, I know what that is. I know exactly what that is. You followed someone that I shagged, you fucking shagged them as well. And then I think about it and I'm like, oh God, it's disgusting. And then I hope this is again about going back to the threesome thing. It's like, oh, now I know.
Yeah.
And that's probably not even true. Like, they probably haven't. They probably just know each other, or gays follow each other. But my brain's like, exactly. My brain's like, I know what I did with that person.
Yeah.
I know what that person's like.
Yeah.
You've done it with that person as well, and it just won't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Exactly.
So that's what I hate about the gay world. Because I think if I was dating a woman and we had mutual followers, it would be different for me.
Yeah.
In the gay world, I think, I know what you've done with that person. First thing I do when I actually date someone is look at their followers, and I'm like, if we've got mutual, like we've got like quite a few mutual followers, and I know them culprits, then now we know it work out. Like, but that's the first thing I do.
Okay. You said you did that with me. You didn't see, I don't think we had any mutual friends.
We didn't. We didn't. I think we're very different. Whereas in the past, I've dated people that were quite similar to me, or we were in similar areas, or whatever. And I think again as well, it's more. It depends on how much of the scene you're on. Like, I absolutely despise dating people that are on the scene. And a big, like, everyone knows each other in Soho, like, I'm like, no, that's not for me. Like, I want someone that I can bring my daughter home to. Like, I want someone that I can cuddle up and watch a movie with my child. I don't want someone that's been up the back alley at Rupert Street or the back alley by a Freedom Bar. Like, that's not for me.
Absolutely.
At all.
Yeah.
Not for me at all. But I've been there, I've dated people that are well known in Soho.
Yeah.
I mean, it is when I refer to the scene, you know what I'm talking about, the gay scene. But again, that's a massive, like, red flag for me. Like, I never want to date someone that knows people that I know. Fuck that. Like, why? Why would I want to know? Like, again, it's my brain. It's how my brain works.
So bringing this back to first dates again, do you take someone home on the first date?
I forgot about this question. I have.
Okay.
I think I've told you the story before. My ex, we went on a first date. Actually, that weren't a bad date, actually. That was a good date. Like, we went to Selfridges, we had a lovely drink in Alto, then we went to Soho. And I was just out of a 3-year relationship when I met this person. So I was probably, I don't want to sound a bit of a rebound, but I wasn't really looking to find someone. I was just, and the date was lovely. I did see myself as seeing this person again, but drunk me took over, and I was like, why don't you come back to mine? Being the little slosh pot that I am, and I remember my nan actually picking us up from North Greenwich Station. This was at a point where she could drive and she was fine. And we just met that day, like, it was really fucking awkward. And we went back to my house and I did a lot of stuff that I'm probably not proud of. And then I remember the next day that I had a personal trainer, PT, and still the same PT now. And I remember going to my PT session at the gym and Daddy was like, how was the date? Because I think I told him the week before that I was going on a date, and I remember saying to him, "Yeah, it was good." Like he was like, "Will you see him again?" And I was like, "Well, he's at Starbucks outside." And Daddy was like, "What do you need?" I was like, "Yeah, I brought him home last night." And then I realised that I had a PT session, and he's waiting for me out there. But I don't think it is appropriate to take someone home on a first date. I think I was just a bit crazy that night. But then, like, I don't know. Like, what do you think? Do you think it's appropriate?
Is it appropriate? That's a different question. I think it's fine. I've never done it. I've never slept with anyone on the first date. I think that's probably my mistrusting personality of people.
Also, it's probably heterosexual, incredibly heterosexual as well, because I think, again, I'm just speaking from experience. In a heterosexual date, I don't think people go home and fuck each other. In my experience in the gay world, you probably won't even get to the point where you date, you just do it anyway. Yeah. But I think, other than that night, I've never done that before.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would.
Yeah.
Again, it brings me back to what we originally said, that in a year's time, that's all I'll think about.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh God, you met me that night and we just fucked each other. Like, this ain't the foundation for a long-standing relationship, and that's just me. Like, I just think in a year's time, I'll be like, was that what your intentions were? Like, you weren't. Again, me being my narcissistic side, thinking you never want to see me anyway. You never wanted to be with me. You just wanted to get in my pants. Like, and then it'd be a problem.
Yeah, that's the difference between love and lust. Like, if you're taking someone back straight off the first date, you just want to get laid.
There's no harm in that.
No, and that's it. That's it. So that's why I question the word appropriate, because of course it's appropriate if that's really what you want to do, or for that.
I might do it next time. My next relationship. Oh, never say never. Never say never. Never say never. But I mean, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But is that the perfect foundation for a long-term relationship?
Yeah.
Maybe people thrive on it, and maybe like, God, remember that night then we had that first date and we went home and fucked each other. Like, maybe it works for some people, but for me, no.
Telling your grandkids, Daddy, where did you meet each other?
Well, it's again
toilet in Rupert Street.
Exactly. That's literally going back to my point. Like, how did you meet? How could I ever tell I hope she never listens to this, but how could I ever tell my 11-year-old how I met my ex? So-and-so tapped me and it all went from there.
It's like the second conversation after, okay, well, I've told you about the birds and the bees, let me tell you about Grindr.
Let me tell you how it really goes. This is not what they tell you at school, but it was all a lie. That's never appropriate to talk to a child about that. But yeah, I mean, in my opinion, it's not appropriate to take someone home on a first date, or it is to sleep with someone on a first date, because for me it would ruin it. It would just ruin the idea of a perfect date. Like,
I would agree with that, and like, that's it. What you're going to connect with if you're ultimately dating and looking for something long term, which is what I see the purpose of dating to be. Like, you want to know someone a bit more deeper than how deep they go into you.
Oh my God. Oh, all right. This is a bit off. We've not spoke about this, but it's sprung to my mind. So, is it appropriate on a first gay date to discuss which one the top is and which one the bottom is, and two bottoms work?
Again, I guess it comes back to the question: are you planning to take them home? I guess you probably want to address that before you take them home.
Before you even take them home, to be honest, because I ain't about to date someone that's just like, well, for me, I'm quite versatile anyway. But like, if you're a strict fucking top, and you date another top, that's never going to work. And I just think, for me, I'd be like, oh, let's cut the shit out. Like, I'm not gonna sit and waste my time.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's true. I think that's almost kind of part of getting to know that person, right? And fine, it is different in the gay world, because you do need to. That is a compatibility thing in a very literal sense. But it's a compatibility thing, because like, also, I think it's true that there's certain traits of tops and bottoms. No?
Yeah, I agree.
Not in every case. They're generalizations. I agree. Like, but I think again, like, it's almost like putting two
negative batteries together.
Yeah, exactly.
Which repel each other. No, not batteries, it's like a magnet.
Yeah.
But again, you can't win with me because, like, I think, it's good to address this from the start. But again, if you address it, I'm like, why does that matter now? Why are you asking me this now? Like, we're not even going to get to that point, probably. I'm probably going to have a great date and then text you tomorrow to say that this isn't working for me. But then, like, rational me is like, it's a good thing to address, because if you're two bottoms and you're strict bottoms, you're never going to work. Like,
well, you can always buy those double-ended dildos from Prowler.
oh God. Or you could just find a top.
You can just say 3 ways.
We weren't going to bring this up. You was quite insistent that we didn't bring it up, but that's probably when you do need a freeway.
There we go. That's
two bottoms.
That's a
and
perfect
top.
example.
Imagine 3 bottoms. Though. God, what would you do? What would you actually do? I was actually thinking this earlier. I fucking hate dating. I fucking hate dating.
Yeah.
It bores the shit out of me. Whenever I split up with someone, the first thought is, I'm not heartbroken that I split up with you. Not bothered at all. I'm like, oh, I've got to do all this shit again to get to this point. Like, you know, like, I automatically think, right, I need to be with someone else, because I've never been alone. I don't like being single. I actually hate being single. I'm not a good single person. I go off the rails. But I don't like dating because I'm just like, oh my
It's hard work.
I put all this fucking work in and we're together for a long time and then we split up and I'm like, I've got to go on a first date with this person again. I've got to get to know you.
Yeah.
I've got to, like, I can't just bring you... Basically, I just want to marry someone and be with them. Like, I don't want to date. Like, it's so time consuming in the gay world. I mean, I'm ancient now. I mean, I'm not going to mention your age, but it takes fucking ages to date someone, and it's like, oh my God, like, this is date number 1. We can't say that we're going to be together after date number 1. Can't probably even say it after date number 2. Like, it's going to take a long fucking time, and I don't have that time. I don't have that time, which is one of the reasons why I hate dating.
Yeah.
I just wish that I could skip that process and just get to the point where we're looking for a house.
Yeah.
And life is great, but dating, some people love it. Some people love the idea of being taken for dates. I like being taken for champagne, don't get me wrong. I don't need a date for that. Just take me fucking champagne, get me a bottle of Bollinger, and I'll be well away. Like, I probably will take you home that night if it's a bottle of Bollinger. But dating to me is just so boring and it's so long. Like, again, that's probably where I do need alcohol and not food. I mean, I think dating's a good one to always talk about, especially in the gay world, because as we've established today, gay dating and straight dating, there's lots of differences, and as much as I've enjoyed the stroll down memory lane, I've probably shocked myself a little bit with how much I've shared. But anyway, it was my choice to talk about dating. We did say each week that we will discuss or come up with an idea each. So the first one was mine, so I'm now going to throw the baton over to you and hand it to you, and you have a few days to come up with a new topic to talk about, and I want it as equally hilarious but also quite shocking and scandalous, because let's face it, I've already shared too much now anyway, so there's no going back. So I shall leave it to you,
Baby, my A game.
and I shall see you on the next one.
See you next week.